Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dads, listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. All right, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
I love the part where it like chops it up at the end. They're like whispering, Bogus, buns, king, one fat, one short, one lean.
Honestly,
I was like,
a banger.
Yo, that shit went up. That shit went up. And if you are a fan of Wes Anderson, you know we are talking about the fantastic Mr. Fox today, released on November 25th, 2009. It was written by Wes Anderson and Noah Baumbach, based on the book by Roald Dahl, who bears a striking resemblance to Bean.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Not really the character I'd want to be in the movie, but
No. Just another little homage to him. But Wes Anderson, you know, the love needs to be spread beyond Wes Anderson for this one. If you know a lot about behind the scenes, there's a funny, not a funny controversy per se, but there's funny behind the scenes stories about Wes Anderson's creation of this movie. The cinematographer, the director of photography was Tristan Oliver, the first switch up from Wes Anderson's typical lineup, where it was usually Robert Yeoman for the live action stuff, but animated wise, he went with Tristan Oliver, very, very well established animation director of photography. There was also a few, second unit and assistant directors. So lots and lots of people who worked on this movie. Anywho, this is the Penny Bloom Podcast. I'm Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up? Always a pleasure to be here. Forgot we didn't do that.
Oh yeah, and it's always a pleasure to have you. I just wanted to jump right into this one because I'm just so excited to talk about it. This the fantastic Mr. Fox, or just fantastic Mr. Fox, but the quote-unquote fantastic Mr. Fox, as
quote-unquote
Mr. Fox would put it himself. I fucking love this movie, and there's an interesting story behind this one with Wes Anderson's involvement, where he was hardly there to direct this movie. He directed a lot of it largely from Paris, over the computer, sending them emails about what he wanted done with the movie. And the director of animation did a lot of direction. The cinematographer did a lot of direction, and this created a lot of rumored beef behind the scenes between director of photography Tristan Oliver and Wes Anderson, which was quickly dispelled. You know, they were both like, "Hey, man, I don't think that's fair." Tristan Oliver said, "I've worked with a lot of directors who were less motivated and more irritating." So. I loved me some Wes Anderson, and clearly he didn't dislike him enough to say no to another project 10 years later in Isle of Dogs. So it's just the behind the scenes production of this is fascinating.
Yeah, I guess because obviously live action with a camera there, probably more needing to have Wes Anderson on set there, but I wonder like how much of this was like post production and how much was it just like him being like, yeah, good, or like, I don't like. That's what I'm wondering is like, were the voices done after? Was it like, did they do the claymation first, or like,
so we got a stop motion claymation feature here. There's only one scene that involves CGI. The rest of it is all in camera, shot exactly as it appears.
One scene?
And it's the scene where the mine gets flooded by the apple cider. That's the only scene that uses CGI.
That's hard. It would be very hard to do in stop motion.
Yes, it would. But
everything else is in camera.
In camera, everything is in camera in this movie. This movie is comprised of 56,000 shots.
Oh my god!
56,000 shots to create this movie. It's a marvel of
Holy.
stop motion animation, man. This is a brilliantly done movie. A lot of the voice work was, fascinatingly enough, done in locations similar to that where the scenes would be set.
Mm-hmm.
So that the actors could get in the mindset of their characters a little bit more. There are actually recordings done underground. There's a lot of stuff was recorded in a barn in Connecticut. There's actually one scene where it's during Owen Wilson's little part as the polar bear coach talking to Christopherson, where a plane flies by in the background and you hear the whoa. That's because in the recording, it was a perfect take, but a boat drove by in the background and you could hear it. So they had to animate a plane flying by and go ahead and incorporate it. So like just like little details like that are super fascinating about this movie.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna be totally like off guard. Like I guess I don't know. Like I didn't think. I thought that I would get used to it over time, and that would take me a little bit to get like used to the style and be fully in. But that was like gone within the first 2 minutes. I was like, dude, I don't know. I'm like, oh my god, this just looks incredible, and like that's what I was focusing on more. Is like, oh my god, like this just every shot that is on like up just looks amazing.
Dude, it's a gorgeous fucking movie. And that's why I wanted to spread the love beyond Wes Anderson. Because like I said, he wasn't on set a lot. He was in Paris for pretty much the entire production. And was directing via emails. They would send him the scenes. He'd be like, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. He would send them references with him acting while in Paris. So just videos of him acting. And fun fact, Willem Dafoe's lines are the only ones that weren't recorded with everybody else. He actually recorded in Paris with Willem Dafoe after the production was over. With Wes Anderson. Willem Dafoe did. I said,
is he just like Dafoe. Willem Dafoe more? Is it like they're just like, I don't know, or just like it was.
I'm not sure what the story is there. I just know that that's the case. Yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, it played out pretty well. Willem Dafoe came in and just absolutely demolished this security guard. Like, I'm curious.
Security.
And I'm curious if like he does this on like his own, or if Bean actually knows that he's down there, or if he's just like doing it on his own.
I don't think there's any chance that's the case.
Yeah, no. Like, and I was wondering, I'm like, because Mr. Fox, he does yell out of the sewer at the end and like communicates, and they do understand. So like there is, and like that was interesting to see, and maybe it happened earlier, but that was like the part when it clicked. I'm like, oh, they can actually understand.
That is
like
the
what
part
saying.
That cues you into the fact that they can understand each other.
Okay, so I was like, and then when that happened, I'm like, wait a minute. So like, does Rat actually talk to like Is it Mr. Bean or just Farmer Bean or?
I guess Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean.
Franklin Bean.
Yeah. But man, I was just so like, I was already taken in awe like by the whole movie, and then just you hear those snaps, you hear the Western theme, you just and the switchblade throwing it in between like each hand, he's just like so smooth with it, and
your lady was the town taught in her day.
I had no idea it was Willem Dafoe, and then I got on IMDb, and then I'm like, well, hold on a minute, and I'm like, what? Like what? Because I knew George Clooney, just the voice, and I'm like, yeah, that's George Clooney there. That's I don't know, pretty, and very monotone, very straightforward voice delivery here. I've noticed it getting like stronger, like with the 𝗪𝗪𝘀 Limited, like it was pretty stronger there than in the previous ones, but this was like very straight to the point. Like I don't know, only probably Willem Dafoe,
Meryl Streep,
and then Ash sometimes had a little emotion, but like even. What's Sutherland? I feel like that's wrong. Christopherson. Sutherland. What the heck am I doing? Yeah, Christopherson. I knew it was like some long name. But Christopherson was very like just monotone, like just delivering the lines, and I think it just shows how strong his story, like the storytelling is. Like it doesn't matter. You don't need all of this emotion for like some lines, like even I think you need to find a new life of work. They get trapped. Okay. Like just a simple okay, and then later on in the movie, whenever he's breaking it all down, he's breaking a plan, and then like the possum. What's the possum's name?
Kylie.
Kylie like just hits him with an okay, and he's like, "Don't just say okay. I'm breaking it down here. Like you got to give me something more than that, or something like that."
Don't just say okay. This is kind of a big deal. He goes, "Oh, okay, thank you."
Yeah,
I loved me some Kylie, man. And I had a great time with this movie. I think this is so far in 2023 my most watched movie at 4 times now. I've watched it twice in the last couple of days in anticipation of this podcast, and I fucking love it, man. It's interesting because it hits me in a different way than the other ones do, and I mean that in a like less of a sense. Like I don't cry the way I do at the end of Life Aquatic or the way I do in Darjeeling Limited. There's one point that does make me tear up a little bit, but I'm not sobbing or anything.
Like a feel good tear up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like this is right. I'm glad this is the way it's going, and like
exactly. And
not a ball. No ugly cry. No anything like that.
I've had ugly cries in this director's spotlight with Wes Anderson. This movie doesn't bring me any of them though, and this one's more of just a marvel of how satisfyingly well done it is. Which is what makes it probably so far the most revisitable in my opinion. There's also a length factor.
Is that
hour and 25, hour and 26, nice. 27. It makes it super easy to watch. And it's so satisfying. The color palette, the visuals used, it's gorgeous. And the score, this was actually nominated at the Oscars for best original soundtrack for an animated film. And it did lose. It was nominated for 2 Oscars, best animated feature film and that one, and it lost both to Up.
Oh, well, okay, dang.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
pretty good year. Yeah. Pretty good year for animated film, I suppose.
But I guess 2 different veins of animation, even.
Oh, very much
kind
so.
of though. It's like even they're both animation, sure, but it's very hard to compare Pixar animation versus stop motion. But man, I was just taken back by so many shots. Like I have a few that aren't going to be my favorite, but I just kind of put them in there to just bring light to them.
Right.
And like there's this one very simple Mr. Bean. It just sounds weird to call him Mr. Bean.
Right.
Farmer Bean. Farmer Bean just standing at the top of his steps. His wife grabbed 2 cider things. He's like, "How about 3?" She puts the other one back, and he opens the door just to like look down there for a split second, and just smokes his cigarette or whatever he's smoking, and just lights his face up a little bit. And I'm like, just what a nice little I don't know, just a nice like light up on his face. I'm like, they just really thought of everything there. And like, but then there's just so many landscape shots that like are just, I don't like every single, like the camera is set up for a very, very specific purpose in this. Like for stop motion, you got to make sure where your camera is, and like it usually doesn't move the camera
for a very extended period of time.
And that's why the opening shot has there's a tracking shot when it's like showing Mr. and Mrs. Fox just go up and like just like scale the farm, and like before they get in the cage, like the camera's moving the whole time. And I'm like, I don't know, that like I was just trying to think of like how they did that behind the scenes, because
that's
all the
so
stop
meticulous,
motion,
man. There's another one later on in the movie when they're all in the Flint mine, and it starts with the mole playing the piano, and it pans all the way through the mine as the rabbits in the kitchen cooking, and everyone's sitting at the table.
What the hell? Like,
dude, it's gorgeous.
But just how they did it, like when it like stop motion, at least what I've known is like the camera does not move whatsoever, because if you move the camera, then everything's just fucked. You got to move everything else with it. But like, so they had to like track the camera, and like, but there were so many different things going on in the background too, and it's like, I don't know, it's insane. And I was taken back, and I was just like, okay, I'm not griping about this style any longer, because it's like just making me in awe, like almost every shot.
Dude, it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. And part of that is that, like I mentioned, this movie is composed of almost 56,000 shots, which is just astonishing. It was altogether made for this movie were 535 puppets.
Like Is that how many characters are in there, or just like there's multiple of?
There's for example,
like,
Mr. Fox had 17 different styles alone, and
Oh.
each style had to be done 6 different sizes. He alone had 102 puppets, Mr. Fox.
Oh my God, I didn't think about that, because every emotion that's on their face,
Mhm.
every time their face changes, that's like the
It's a
smile
different
that he had, you know, like that weird, yeah, the super
teeth.
cheesy smile. Yeah, like, oh my God.
That's actually another interesting little detail. When foxes are scared, they bare their teeth. So I'm pregnant,
Oh.
and he just cheeses,
Ah.
and he goes, "Wow, we're gonna have a cub." That's great news.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, wow, I didn't even think. Okay, yeah, duh, all the animal, aspects of the movie, like, and I love even whenever he gets into them and he starts like saying the Latin names of everyone, and like all the strengths and of everyone. It's like that's what makes us so great, is we're all so different. We all have different strengths, and what can we do, and going one by one, like, yeah, you're fast. All right, you got that? All right, good. You're demolitions expert? What? Since when? Like, what? Where did that come from? But
explosions, blowing things up, fire.
Okay, hey, I mean, everyone's got their own strengths, and I think that's like one of the bigger themes behind the movie is just being different, like that. I think that comes with Ash.
He's just
the most, yeah,
different.
Yeah, and like I love
the little hand motions and
oh man, yeah. And Mr. Fox, he has his like the snap and like his trademark, and then Kylie, is it Kylie? Was that right?
Yeah, Kylie.
Kylie tries to do his at the end, and it's just like, hey, you got it, man. Yeah, that was sick. That's
like,
your trademark.
I see. Was that your trademark?
Yeah.
And he does the little shrug, which is actually his trademark because he does it all the time throughout the movie.
Yeah, either the shrug or the signal that he gives whenever they're
little signal.
Yeah, whenever they're what's that? I guess because
crazy
like
eyes.
with a possum, like, because they play dead a lot, right? And I didn't know if that was like, but then Mr. Fox did it after he was like chased by the rabies dog.
Yeah.
And he was just and gave the signal and everything. So I was just like, okay, it's probably
is that it? Is that the thing? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Crazy eyes. Oh my God, like Life Aquatic.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
Yeah, like Life Aquatic.
Was there? I felt like there were a couple of references to his old movies in here, and I could just be stretching. But there was like a train, in like the background of some shots, and I'm like, why do you put a train? And he filmed the last movie we talked about was on a train.
Darjeeling Limited.
Nice to see.
The little train set and stuff. There's actually a train that goes by in the background multiple times throughout this movie, and that is the same train that is used for the train set.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. I forgot about the train set in his room. I was talking about the one in the background, but even that's I don't know. Even whatever.
Like, literally, it's the same. It's the same train used in multiple situations.
Like literally
behind the scenes.
It is the same. Okay, I got
train. Yeah, no, that's. But there was another thing that I wanted to connect to his older movies. We've pointed out like these little Beatles references throughout his movies. And Hey Jude and the Royal Tenenbaums and the Yellow Submarine and Life Aquatic. Darjeeling Limited had multiple scenes where they were walking one right after the other, like the cover of Abbey Road. For the Beatles. This one is much more layered, as the recording for the Bogus Bunsen being Limerick was done by a choir in England at Abbey Road Studios, where the Beatles recorded Abbey Road. So that one's more layered, not exactly face value. But another tiny Beatles reference there.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. Looking at Wes, he kind of looks like he could be the fifth, a fifth Beatle, like a long lost Beatle brother.
The Beatles.
But yeah, I'm struggling to think if like, because every Wes movie that I've watched, I've come away like, yeah, I've liked this one better than the last. Like, he just keeps getting better and better and better. And this one, I think, it's like the most rewatchable for like the short runtime, and like just it's such a different movie. It's so creative, and like it's just amazing to watch in general. But I think this is my favorite. Like I would put this at the top. It's like really close with 𝗪𝗪𝘀 right now, though, for me. And I don't quite know if it is my number one, but it's like I don't really know how to compare them. Like even though these are Wes Anderson movies, like this movie was so different than the previous three, but at the same time, like had all of his trademark like stuff to it, and so it's like it's so different, but also the same at the same time. I get, but I don't know. I was just taken away by how like invested in the story that I was. It's just like random animals stealing. And I'm like, I didn't even know really where it's going. I have no clue, and it's just I don't know. I'm just along for the ride, along for some George Clooney, Ocean's 11, heists. Is
Batman.
he just always a heist guy? Yeah, is he just is that George Clooney's just like his role? And he just always he's a thief, and he's a good one at, I guess.
Yeah, right.
I wonder if like they knew to go to George Clooney first for this role, or if there was like anyone else considered.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the sort of audition process was or anything. There are rumors that were never substantiated that Wes Anderson even spoke to, that on the set of Life Aquatic he approached Cate Blanchett about the role that Meryl Streep ends up with. But that didn't even go further than that conversation they had on set. So there was like, for years, there were a bunch of stuff floating around online about like, oh, what if this was the original cast idealized for for Fantastic Mr. Fox? And he was like, that's not true. We kind of got everyone we wanted to play these roles. And that was that, and I mean, you can't go wrong with Meryl Streep. Meryl Streep actually gets my performance for this movie. I absolutely adored her in the role of Mrs. Fox. She does get to do the most, I think, emotion wise. Why'd you have to get us into this, Foxy? And shit like that. My favorite line delivery in the movie, not my favorite line, but my favorite line delivery, contact! Whenever she yells that and blows the shit up. Dude, I adore that. I thought that was awesome.
Remember she gives him a little scratch in the face, like, I'm about to lose my temper. Or like, when's it when? I'm about to lose my temper. He's like, now? Like now? Like, a little.
And then his eyes fill up with tears and like, oh man. Whenever the eyes fill up with tears, bro, that shit hurts. Because like, again, that's what makes this sort of performance effective. The way that everything is mostly monotone. It's very matter of fact. It is very just straight to the point. Whenever the eyes fill up with tears, whenever Meryl Streep does go, why'd you have to get us into this, Foxy? Shit like that hits because of how level the rest of the movie is, and you're like, oh damn, that shit's good. That scene right there, the sewer waterfall redemption arc that Mr. Fox went on there, I mean, I don't think there's any other scene. I think that's kind of what the whole, I don't know, the crux of the movie is right there. Yeah. It's he's trying to bring back the glory days, and he's like, just this one last job to do it all, and he's one to be this quote unquote fantastic Mr. Fox, or else I want everybody to be impressed and a little bit intimidated by me, or else I'm not going to feel good about myself. Yeah, and it's like, it's so simple, and like the delivery's like there, and it's crazy. It's a fox that is stealing from 3 farmers, and it's stop motion, but like it's so crazy that like it just gets you to stop and think like, oh wow, like it gets you to think of your own life and just be like, wow, like how is this claymation movie getting me to step back and actually like contemplate my life right now? Like there's through many different characters. Like I feel like I've just like Mr. Fox I related with a little bit, but not fully. But like Ash is I don't know, an amazing character throughout this movie, and like just being different. And like whenever he, the I think the line that I will go with is his delivery of hey, do you know I could fit through there? Yeah, and he's like, do you want to know why? Because I'm little. And it, like I thought he was gonna say different, or like something. I because it was just. But then we, that payoff is later, after the apple crate or whatever. But it was just so satisfying, and he embraces it, and like he's fully embracing the differences. Yeah, he says it with pride. He's because the whole movie, he's been feeling down about himself, even the beaver's son who's a dick to him the whole time. He's like, why is your brother such a bag of, what was it? Bag of milk or something like that? I don't know.
Okay.
Regardless, he's like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, well, he dresses like a girl. He's really small and he's just different. You're sounding like a bully. Are you a bully?
Why are you taking off your shoe? So I don't break your nose whenever I kick it or whatever, and he gets his.
I can fight my own battles. No, you can't.
I don't know. It's like it's at first, he's so just mad at everything. He's like, of course my father's paying more attention to Christopherson because he's everything. We wanted the perfect dive at the beginning. That splash, like, and it like just. That's the thing. This movie's pretty funny too. Like it's very enjoyable in that sense. It's like it's
also far and away his most family friendly so far. Like
totally.
This is one that you can watch with a small child, but adults are just definitely going to get a little bit more out of it. Thematically, it's my line is I debated on this and I ended up switching what I had my line as for my scene and changing my line, where he says, but in the end, we're going to eat tonight and we're going to eat together. Yeah. We'll eat tonight and we'll eat together. And it just kind of summarized just the way that this was about being together and coming together as a family in the face of odds that seem insurmountable and just kind of pushing through it as long as you're together, you can do it. Because even connecting it to my favorite scene, the scene that you spoke to, that's kind of unquestionably it, whenever he decides to go on his suicide mission, quote unquote, where he tells her, maybe if I turn myself in, they'll let the rest live. And, I'll be the only one that goes. And, Meryl Streep breaks. And then he goes and talks to his son, tells the whole story. Ash steps all over his lines. And that specifically is more my favorite part of the scene. That's when I have the tears welling in my eyes and stuff, is whenever he goes, and Ash, I'm so glad that he was you. It's not your fault. It's mine. Oh man. Oh.
And you see Ash, like, his reaction too, and like, because Mr. Fogg, he says that and just kind of like leaves, and he's like on his way, like saying goodbye to everyone, but like it sticks with Ash for a little bit, and you're just like, oh man, that's how Wes does it. Even though it's to a lesser degree, this movie, like the emotional hits, they still hit all the same. It's like,
oh yeah,
whenever I'm supposed to feel the emotion, and like during the movie, I am tearing up and I'm feeling good. Those heartstrings are being tugged. That's for sure. And I wonder if it's just the like stop motion animation that's if this was live action,
if these were humans, how different would that resonate with me? Part of the reason certain scenes make me sob is because in Life Aquatic, whenever Bill Murray breaks after saying, I wonder if it remembers me, that makes me break. Whenever that happens, whenever Adrian Brody in the Darjeeling Limited is like looking in the mirror at his brother and Jason Schwartzman's looking at him and they all just kind of like stand there for a second kind of in awe of what's happening, that makes me break. Like that's there's the human aspect of these stories does matter, and that does make it hit a little bit harder as far as relatability, but they did it about as much as they could in a story about foxes and badgers and beavers and oh my,
I mean, it's very the wild animal side of the story is like we're all wild animals, and it's like it's not just the animals on screen. Like he's trying to like you look at humans just a couple hundred years ago. Even now, we're wild as fuck. Like we are not like we seem domesticated, but man, if we're taken back to our like instincts, we're wild, and like and I think like it's such a movie to make me like step back and be like, oh yeah, like humans a couple hundred years ago, we really were like that. And like now, look at us now. Like we think we're so domesticated and like we do all these things. Like when he's getting his breakfast made for him and he's in his tie reading the newspaper, but then he starts to eat and just absolutely like crazy. And it's little things like that. That's like it. I feel like he's trying to get to something like that, where to say that humans aren't so different from the animal world. You know, like we're all part of the kind of the same world here. And the humans that are in this movie are honestly more wild than the animals that we see. Like we see 3 farmers that get absolutely obsessed with a singular fox, you know, and I guess they can't talk to each other, and like maybe they've been stolen from before, they, you know, the reputation has to be upheld, but they get every hand on their farm on deck to try to kill this fox, you know, and like instead of just doing the work or whatever, it's like taking kind of like in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, where like children just kind of get roped into all of the family drama, you know, sort of thing, but on just a different scale here, not family. It's kind of like the same thing. Like it's just like a war between the humans and animals in this movie, and it's very interesting to look at the like dynamics of how it all is going on.
Well, and I think it also there's a few layers here. You know, speaking to the you know, we're just wild animals thing. Emily pointed out to me something that I hadn't really considered, because I like your perspective a lot, and I totally agree with it. There's this other element to it, this layered meaning where for humans, we're only human. You know, we make mistakes, we fuck up, we don't do everything right, but in the end we have to push forward. We give in to our baser instincts because we're only human, because we're wild animals. You know, like that's there's kind of a level, like an equality there that kind of I make a connection to, and I really appreciated that perspective. And then to speak more to the whole Bogus Bunsen being sending everything after them, you know, I think there's this you know, speaking to the connection between humans and animals, like there's this layer of corporate greed and the way it destroys ecosystems and the way it can endanger animal life, and the fact that it's not that they just don't care if it affects animal life, it's that they're actively going out of their way to destroy animal life. You know,
it's all about the money, you know, for the and that's like I don't know, just like recently we've been growing some like tomatoes and stuff in our backyard, and like I didn't realize like animals like to eat that stuff. Like if it's out there, like little slugs and bugs, they like to eat that stuff, and you got to try to do stuff to like keep animals away from all your goods and stuff like that. But I don't know, I was just kind of like, after watching this movie, I was just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I just
let them vibe.
Maybe I grow more and let some go. You know, just I have like after watching like I guess I don't know. I've always loved animals and nature and everything like that. I wouldn't harm a fly. You know, I hate killing any animal, even like spiders. I leave spiders because they get rid of all the other bugs in your house, you know, and if you see a spider, it means that they've probably killed hundreds of other bugs that could have gotten in your house. So, no, and they're way more afraid of us than we are of them. You know, like we are the apex predator of Earth right now, and like we can do anything we want. You know, if any, like I don't know, but you plop us down in the middle of the rainforest with nothing. Like I don't know, like I couldn't survive more than 2 days. Like that's
in that situation, you can be killed by a mosquito.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, malaria, just some, you know, boom, done. Or a freaking, what am I going to do against that tiger? You know, like what am I going to do? Run? And I can't even run. It's faster than me. If it's hungry, that's about it. You know, I don't know. The connection with the animal world that Wes has is so cool, and it's like to a lesser degree in his other movies. But this one, it's like full.
That's all this movie is.
That's all it is. Which is, it's really nice to see like his perspective on animal life and just nature, and how, you know, we are just kind of fucking up our home, you know, a little bit by, you know, we need to feed everyone on Earth, and that's very important, but maybe the way we go about it is just a little.
And I thought that something that was funny about this movie is that even the other animals don't view chickens as a valid life form. They're like, we'll eat those motherfuckers.
What's up with that? That's I didn't really understand that part. I'm like, one bite, you know, just gotta like.
I think it's just it's when it comes to the animal kingdom, it's a different ballgame. You know, there's not You know, like, you know, I know he says you got to go to the Five and Dime and pick up a chicken, but like, you know, sometimes you got to get your hands dirty to get this shit done.
Yeah, I
you
guess,
know, like
it's that's the circle of life there. You know, like
Mhm.
we get all our food prepackaged and stuff, but if you see where it actually comes from, that's, you know,
it's getting hunted.
Yeah.
Someone is going somewhere and destroying that shit.
Dang. Yeah, just what a movie that just makes you think about so many different things. Makes me think about, you know, am I trying too hard in my life to impress people when I don't need to? Am I, you know, what parts of me are different that I can, you know, accentuate and like show people and like be proud of them? Yeah, like I'm little as fuck. And after seeing that, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I can't change that. What can I do about that? You know, I could fit through little spaces if I ever need to break someone out of an apple crate and need to fuck up my karate chop, you know, of this apple crate. But hey, he got the job done.
You were light as a feather. I thought it was hilarious how much Christopherson. It's not this guy, but he reminded me a lot of Michael Cera, in his delivery. Sounded a lot like him. You were lighter than a feather.
Can you give me a quick karate lesson? Sure. Okay. Let's cover the basics: running, jumping, or like, like whenever he just gave him his quick little lesson there, like, oh, it was so beautiful. But then it actually mattered, you know, like it's the pull away, it's the or whatever that creates the impact or whatever. And then you see him at the end whenever he does the whole, I forgot what the sport was that they, you know, called in there, but he basically just did the whole
bat or something.
And you know, at the end, and has the whack bat, hits the lock, but then pulls away very fast, you know, and then like you just see the lock fall off, and there's so many like satisfying payoffs like that in this movie. I think that's what makes it just so good, is that each character has these like little things that you're like, oh, that just feels good. Like the Kylie's little signal or trademark that he does at the, it's small, it doesn't matter, it doesn't really do anything for the movie, but it's like, at least, you know, he had something. Like, I don't know, it was like, every character had a very crucial role in the success and the survival of everyone at the end.
Yeah, there's like a little revolutionary story built into this, like hidden somewhere in there, which I really love. You know, the way the little mouse even gets involved, and he's like, I want to fight, and he's like, fuck yeah, you do, come on now. And he goes out there, he's fucking them up. Like, I love that shit, you know, there's nobody left behind. And whenever Kylie's like, what do I do? What's my strength? He's like, well, to be honest with you, I don't know your Latin name. I don't even think they had opossums in ancient Rome. Your strength is just kind of being around. You're always there. You're always there to help. And you know what? I appreciate that. And it comes through in the end. He has the titanium card. How can you afford this? How did you get this? He's like, I have great credit. I pay my bills on time.
Like it, and even the people who got roped into it at the beginning, they were kind of pissed. Like it was Demolition Man. Badger? Yeah, Badger coming in. He's like, you guys, so many animals are gonna die because of this. You know, like, you're so stupid. Why did you do this? Blah blah blah. But then, you know, after the feast, I'd say people are like, oh, okay, I like this. You know, this is comfy, even though we're in a sewer. Smells like, you know, shit, but we got a lot of food here. Only for a little bit, you know, before they get flushed away. But that moment there that they had when they all were together, and I don't know, it was just really, really nice to see them all come together, and then when they do get flushed away,
you know, I appreciate that we're all here and we're becoming more aware of each other. I want to say that again, aware. And then like that are cut over to Ash and Christopherson not being there and him being completely unaware. Very fucking funny. And that whole scene is really funny because Badger stands up and he's like, I want to do a toast. It's a shame that it took tragedy to kind of bring you all here, but you finally took me up on my offer to hold you at the Flint mine. And the way Mr. Fox is like, what's this Badger talking about? My invitation must have got lost in the mail. And then he stands up, he's like, no, but seriously, sorry, B. And he takes over the toast, and it's like that shit was so fucking funny, you know? Like, I think that that's one thing that I, on first watch, don't think I appreciated enough out of this movie, was just how funny it is. And the more you watch it, the more you can take in these little small things that are really funny. And
like the cuss. They never cuss.
Yes.
It's always cuss. Like, honestly,
you cuss with me?
It worked. Like, this is so, I would rather them just say, like, I don't know. Like, yeah, like, it was honestly funnier.
Cuss. You son of a cuss. You cuss and cuss.
Funnier, more family friendly. Like, it just works all around. Like, and I didn't realize that like you can actually just replace every cuss word with cuss, but you know what cuss word they're saying in the situation. You know, it's like it was so just yeah, and the just all the
again, even the line before that when the badger's like, "I strongly advise you not to buy this home," and he's like, "I hear your advice. You're a smart man. I'm not going to follow it." He's like, "I will not be doing it.
I need to get out of this hole," you know. And he wasn't.
But, one more thing with the little cuss. Did you notice that at one point when they rise up out of their when they're on top of a building or something, there's graffiti in the background that says "cuss."
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yeah,
no, that's pretty
that's
awesome.
One of those things on rewatch that you'll just have to you just catch, and there's graffiti that's like just says "cuss," which is hilarious. You know, little details like that are outstanding, and apparently that was one that was kind of offhand at first. Like they just kind of did that once, and then they were like, "Well, I think we ought to do it for the whole movie. It's funny. It makes sense. You always know what it's talking about. You know,
it just worked." No, yeah, it worked, and I love whenever they had to keep digging. You know, they were just digging to get out of all the trouble, and they would stop by at just really cool places, like the cave paintings that were down there. At like one point, there were like some like old like just cave paintings, the like crystalish, I don't know what to call it, like the amethyst. I don't know, just that very sparkly room that Mr. and Mrs. Fox talked in for a little bit. Yeah. But like I think it was more just to show like the destruction that the farmers were causing. You know, like look at all these beautiful things that are down there, just below this. You know, a home. The tree was a home to begin with, and then they had to dig down to get to safety and everything. But then you see all these beautiful things that are below it. You see the cave paintings. You see this mineral wall. You see all like they eventually get to a sewer, but they blow up all the beautiful stuff. You know, for them to have to go to the sewer. And I thought it was just I guess I don't know if I'm looking too far into it, but I mean it's pretty clear that like he's trying to say that we're doing a lot of damage to Earth, you know. And I love any time that pops up in any movie. And it's just there's so many different themes that I feel like I can pull like from this movie, and it's like a perfect like I didn't think about that, but like a perfect kids movie. Like a kid, they're not going to get everything out of the movie, but then just. I mean, there's not really anything bad in here that you're going to be like, oh, well, I wish my kid didn't see that. It's like, no, like I kind of would want my child to see this movie.
100%.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that aspect, but it's a lot of times, like a lot of people just stay away from animation because they think it is childlike. Like I was talking to my brother yesterday at dinner, and he was like, is there like a new Spider-Man movie coming out or something? And I'm like, yeah, it's like the second Miles Morales, Across the Spider-Verse. And he goes, the second one? And I'm like, you haven't seen the first one? And I'm like, oh my, I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's just animated. I just don't like animated movies. And I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, you're going to watch the movie and you're going to change your mind on that.
Oh, I was guilty of that too. I didn't see Into the Spider-Verse is literally what changed my perspective of animation. It wasn't that I was like, oh no, that shit's for kids. It was just like I would watch them and stuff, but I wasn't like when Into the Spider-Verse came out, I didn't see that in theater because I was like, I was like, it doesn't matter. And that's not fair. It absolutely does matter, and that's I'm seeing the next. I saw the second one yesterday. Comes out today. That's right. Speaking of Jason Schwartzman, also a voice in Across the Spider-Verse. Go catch that.
Oh well, hell yeah!
Yeah, he plays. He'll be playing Spot, the guy who can like reach through the little holes and like grab shit.
Okay,
yeah, that's Jason Schwartzman.
Wow,
so he did wonderful in the movie. I know that for sure after having seen it.
He almost got my performance.
He definitely got my character.
That's good.
Got my character.
Glad he's getting something because
he was also very close to getting my performance too. He almost got the clean sweep in that regard.
Got my line though. I got to give him a nod somewhere because I love that character so much. But I don't know. I couldn't give the performance to anyone other than Willem Dafoe here. Like it was good. It was just too like. That's the thing. I think I said this off mic. But usually whenever we do these, I have, like, I hear a line and I'm like, okay, that's for sure my line. Or I see a shot and I'm like, okay, that's for sure my shot. Never have I really been like, oh, I know for sure my character, or I know for sure my performance. And I initially locked him in as my character just because I thought it was, more fitting. Like, it wasn't a big part of the movie, but the character, the design and all the choices they made to, for him and stuff like that. But I think it makes just way more sense to put him down for the performance because, I mean, I guess the only thing I did kind of look into, or I heard, was that Willem Dafoe actually did these movements and was kind of doing these behind the scenes and stuff like that. And I want to see that so bad. If that is on camera, and recorded, just actually seeing real Willem Dafoe do that would be amazing.
Right.
Yeah, I had whenever I was first coming into this movie, I'd be like, yeah, probably one of the main characters is going to be my performance. Usually that's how it goes. But a rat played by Willem Dafoe, a security rat, ends up taking the cake for me. And it's I would never have expected that.
And the redemption he gets.
Oh.
The boy's being held in an apple crate on top of a gun cabinet in the attic of Bean Annex.
Would you have told me that if I didn't kill you first?
Never. He's like, what did you do this? What did you do all this for? Cider. Like melted gold. Then he dies.
So, was it that he was sipping on it the whole time, or that he never actually sipped on it at all, and that was his first taste there?
Yeah, so I think there's a little message here about selling out for the man and never getting what you wanted out of it.
Yeah.
He sold out. He clearly used to run with Fox. I mean, they had a rivalry of some sort. It's not like it was friendship, but they used to be in the same circle. Him being like, "What are you doing? You working here now? What the fuck?" Mm-hmm. He's like, "It's my job," and he's like, "That's bullshit." He was a scoundrel. He was a rapscallion. That those were the vibes I was getting off of the rat. And the eulogy line. Just devastating, redemption, sure. But in the end, he's just another dead rat in the alley behind the Chinese restaurant.
Dang.
And I think that's more speaking to the way humans view dead animals, He's like, he might have reached that redemption for us, for sure. But to the humans he sold out for and worked for, he's just another dead rat, Man,
that's true. Every time you see a dead animal on the street or road, I don't know, you never really think of oh yeah, that animal had a whole life, before this, and just you never really think about that at all. But it takes Willem Dafoe as a rat, and then Western style snapping and throwing a switchblade back and forth. The fight that they had, the strobe light, that was it. I wanted to see if this was another connection to one of his previous movies with The Life Aquatic, whenever Steve goes on his Rambo rampage mode and everyone's blindfolded and can't really see it. And then you have Mr. Fox and Rat fighting off here, and I didn't they could kind of see, but not really. I wonder
flashes and the
but it's so cool. Even if it's not a callback to that, it was just very well done. And just was really cool to see at the end. But then, his taste of the cider is sewer water cider, though. Mm-hmm. It's not even but then he's like, near melted gold. Yeah, and he's still good, I guess he's dying there. That's the only taste he's going to get there. So he better appreciate it, but probably not the best sample that he could have gotten.
Can't imagine. No. Can't imagine so.
But enough to get my performance first time, though. But
no, I love that. I love that. Willem Dafoe, well deserved. Might not be the last time he gets a performance nod out of you. He's got a few coming up that are really solid in the West movies. And he's well deserved. But it was the second Jason Schwartzman character nod I've given. He got the Darjeeling one out of me for Jack, and got it out of me here for Ash. Like me some Jason Schwartzman lately, man. He's looking forward to his future roles in the West movies because goddamn is he good. But I did want to speak to my favorite shot because I am gonna go with the waterfall with Mr. Fox standing in front of it. Gorgeous fucking imagery there, just beautiful.
Come on.
And that was achieved. That water is saran wrap. Yeah. That water is just saran wrap that they are pulling down slowly.
No.
Yep.
Okay. What I thought what they did is like a big perspective shot. That was somehow like just way in the back and it was actual water. You know, like they had that set and they just cut out a hole and like they actually just had water back there. But I guess in stop motion, if they actually just had real water, it wouldn't actually look.
It would just be a blur.
Yeah, it wouldn't actually be. Oh my god! Oh my god! Like that was the shot where like my gut instinct was. I'm like, okay, if there's a shot in this movie, like holy shit, this one. It felt like it was it. But I think I will go with that opening, that tracking shot.
Dude,
like since you know I want to spread like this, we could have like 18 different favorite shots for this movie.
Oh
almost.
man.
Like,
I mean, like just the landscape imagery, you know, whenever they just show the silhouetted tree against the autumnal background sky, and then the nighttime with the moon in the background, and then the Bogus Bunsen bean all side by side, like gorgeous shit, man. There's a bunch of beautiful fucking shots in this movie, and made all the better, I think, by being shot in camera, you know, like that's
whenever they glow, it was really, you know, like
that's a different model, you know.
Yeah, that was really. I wonder. It looked like they were like illuminated from the inside. You know, like
sure.
So like a Christmas ornament.
I was gonna say like a Christmas decoration sort of thing is the vibe I was getting. They almost certainly were. It's like you're glowing. It must be the light, you know. He's like holding out his hand. And,
it's like what the? He's like what? The? But then they both glow at the end.
I think we're both glowing.
Yeah, it's like little pull throughs like that. That just it doesn't really mean a whole lot. You know, it doesn't get me to cry or anything necessarily. But it's like just like a nice pull throughs that don't. I don't know that I that's why I love this movie. Is that they're everywhere.
And once again, the sentimentality with the trinkets and baubles. We get the bandit mask for Ash. Whenever he gets one at the end of the movie, it's like, fuck yes. You know, he's got the stars down the middle and stuff. That's pimp. You know, I loved that shit. And
why do you have a fake bandit mask on? You know, he even gets like told off. He's like, what the heck are you doing? Why do you have this fake bandit mask on? You know, and then you get him. You know, that's after he tells him, like, yeah, it's all my fault. You know, it's my fault that, this is all happening. You get that nice moment there. And then is it after he does his, he breaks the lock and then lets the rabies, is that when he gets it? Yeah, he's like, that was the most unbelievable performance I've ever seen out of you. Or like, you know, just like a nice proud dad moment. And Ash finally gets that, you know, which was awesome. And
you're an athlete.
The whole time, the whole like wolf, when Kylie was like, "Oh, have you seen a wolf? You know, the wolf and everything." I'm like, okay, so like they're going with like the boy who cried wolf thing. He's gonna be like, no, there's not even one out here. But then like, I thought it was gonna be like the big bad, you know, a big bad wolf, you know, eventually. And then you get there, and it's just like, what a beautiful creature, you know, like talks to it in Latin. He's like, I don't think it speaks Latin or English.
Then he asks if they're in for a harsh winter in French.
Like, winter is coming. You know, obviously the wolves know. The wolves just know. But then the like breakfast, or is it not Breakfast Club? What's the ending of the movie with the fist bump in the air? Is it? Yeah, it is Breakfast Club. Yeah, just like is that like what they were imitating, or like was it just like a animal to animal?
Solidarity thing. You know,
okay.
I think they kind of displayed that like. I think it was an overcoming of Mr. Fox's fears. You know, he was like, "Oh my God, I never needed to be afraid of this guy." Like these creatures are like, again, kind of going with the animals versus human narrative. You know, like the humans, they view every animal as a threat. You know, everything is like, "Oh God, what if they come and attack me?" And this wolf is standing off in the distance. The fox looks at him and he goes, "Oh shit. I never needed to be afraid of this guy. He's been far less a problem for me than Bogus Bunsen Bean." You know, like they just tried to wipe out my ecosystem And this wolf's just chilling over there. He's living, you know?
Love
And
how
the-
he can't admit that he's afraid of them, but he says he has a phobia of them,
Phobia.
you know? And he's like, no, I'm not really afraid of them, but I do have a phobia of wolves. And it's like, okay, you know, you're still coming
Pretty much
around. You
the
still
same thing.
still have a couple things to learn, Mr. Fox. But I don't know. I like even my line that I almost went with was whenever he was like, "Your tractor uprooted my tree. Your posse came in, you know, kill or blah blah blah." And he says at the end, he's like, "I'm not leaving without that necktie." You know, even at the end there, like it's starting good, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're doing good, but he's like, you're still attached. You know, it's like still attached to the necktie, but then seconds later, he's like, we can go without it. You know, where did I park? Sort of thing. And it's like, okay, like that was, you know, just a nice little thing to show that he's moving on. You know, he's not just gonna endanger all the lives of everyone just to get his not even functioning tail back anymore. But it's detachable now. It's like a clip-on tie. You know, it's very, what's the word? Practical.
Yeah.
I guess. You know, I don't know. It'd probably be, I don't know. I don't know how that would really work. If it'd be like uncomfortable, you know, like when he sits down now, if it's just like that little safety pin, I don't want to think about it, I guess. But no, I like the ending there. Like just when they're all in the grocery store, you know, just dancing and like having a good time. You see,
They say
like,
all foxes are slightly allergic to linoleum, but it's cool to the paw. Try it.
Yeah.
They say my tail needs to be dry cleaned twice a month, but now it's fully detachable. See? They say our tree may never grow back, but one day something will. That's another one that I was like very close to picking. You know,
that's good.
You know, they say our tree may never grow back, but one day something will. Yes, these crackles are made of synthetic goose, and these giblets come from artificial squab. And even these apples look fake, but at least they've got stars on them. I guess
I
my
love
point
that
is,
he's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No,
he's got the bright side in mind. I guess my point is, we'll eat tonight, and we'll eat together. And even in this not particularly flattering light, you are without a doubt the 5.5 most wonderful wild animals I've ever met in my life. So let's raise our boxes.
Lights turn on right at that moment too, just because why not, you know?
Of course.
And he's standing on an actual soapbox,
on a literal soapbox,
you know, like literal. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. But then also I noticed that Ash's, you know, they're all drinking apple cider and out of their juice boxes. He's having grape, and I'm like, oh man, you know, like just a little detail that it doesn't have to be there. It could have all been drinking apple juice, and I would have, you know, felt all the emotional, you know, things that I should have felt, but just that little addition of changing Ash's drink was like, oh, that's so
it's
cute.
Just a little different.
And was it because I think there were like some superhero posters or something in his room, and is that like that's like what he's trying to imitate, right? Is that like the white cape or something like that?
White. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the hero is called, but it's like White Paw or something like that. It's but yeah, basically. With the cape and the sweatpants tucked into the socks. What are you wearing?
Yeah, Ash was close to my favorite character, but on first watch, I think I really focused more on just Mr. Fox. I mean, it's the movie, you know, he's the titular character here. So I was just, you know, and he has a lot of lines in the movie as well, a lot of focus. So that's I did go with Mr. Fox for my character this run around, but I feel like on rewatch, I'll go from Ash to Miss Fox to even Mrs. Kylie Fox sometimes, you know, it's like
I watched her for the 4th time today, and I was like, I might pick Kylie, man. Kylie is hilarious.
Like, it's crazy how every side character I feel like I'll actually like more whenever I watch it again and again. And
there's one of my favorite exchanges in the movie is between Mr. Fox and Kylie when he goes, who am I, Kylie? Who, how? What now? Why a fox? Why not a horse or a beetle or a bald eagle? I'm saying this more as like existentialism. You know? Who am I? And how can a fox ever be happy without, you'll forgive the expression, a chicken in its teeth? And then Kylie goes, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds illegal. Like, you just like, because he hasn't very specific, like, you know, how can a fox be happy without a chicken in its teeth? That's the only thing that's like a little on the edge there. But the idea that even questioning your existence, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds illegal. Like, I don't think I like thinking about that very much. You know, I don't think we should be allowed to do that. I
No,
love me some Kylie, man. I love that he lives
Kylie's
there.
Yeah,
He's
he does live with them,
superintendent.
doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just I don't know. Because what was he living with them before, or was it after like the first heist that they had together?
So this took me a couple of watches to catch, but when Weasel, who is played by Wes Anderson, by the way, the realtor, Weasel, when he walks in, Kylie, the tree they buy, Kylie is working on the sink in the kitchen. He's the super. He works on
That's
on
right.
the building,
Okay,
so he does
that's
live
right.
there. So once they move in,
okay.
he lives with them. When they're fighting and the dig's about to happen, and he's like, "It's always something with you two. You say something, then you say something, and it all changes back again." And then Mr. Fox runs up the walls and stuff like an animal would, where they like jump off. Like I just adored the little details, and like the scale is so fascinating to me too. Like seeing just how small every one of them actually is, when we see the little hole they dug after they blow up the tree and stuff.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like no bigger than their feet.
Yeah, that was interesting. I guess the humans were a little smaller than I get, I guess I don't know, but I wonder if is it just to show the like they are so small and you're treating them like such a big threat, like they're these super small
they
because
blew up this entire tree and then there's this tiny hole.
Yeah, itty bit, yeah. But meanwhile, the whole time they're just getting everything stolen from them. Like they're digging. He's like, we got to dig in a very particular direction. You just got to fill out the vibe.
Why did he write with magazine cutout letters? I don't know, but you did the same thing. I don't think I trust this guy.
Sign it. Why would they sign? They even, they signed it at the bottom. So it's like the whole. It's
and we know who they are. They're trying to kill us. Why wouldn't we know who they are?
We know. It's just actually funny. Like that's the thing. It's not just, I don't know, little quips in here and there. It's like, I don't know, I was actually like laughing like a lot. Like I think maybe that's where more of the enjoyment for this movie comes, instead of like the cry and like the emotional moments that we got with the previous ones. It's just kind of switched with feel good
comedy,
laugh and pull throughs that you get for characters and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. I thought.
He thinks we're in for a hard winter.
Yeah, like I don't know. This is, I feel like way harder to write a movie like this and be funny and like have a good story behind it. When like, I don't know. I feel like this is just, it's so much more complicated to go through all of these hoops than to just like be on a train and just literally film what's happening. I don't want to discredit what it takes to make that movie at all.
Right.
It's still fantastic, but I think like this is, you have to think everything through. Like every shot has to be meticulously thought out. Like the smoke that was like in there, like all the like it was just like cotton ball or like cotton, like just pulled apart. And I'm like, that's just so cool. That's cool. Like someone, I don't know, like that was sick. The whole like war sequence, like whenever they were first throwing the acorns, like
Bunsen bean, one fat, one short, one lean. These horrible cooks, so different in looks, but nonetheless equally mean. I was like, oh, this shit was crazy.
Yeah, and then the little banjo, little doodle, like the
doodly doodle 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 babble.
And then you get
actually, I have this movie on the Criterion Collection Blu-ray, and it comes with like a little introduction to the movie done by that guy, and he like breaks down the cast and all the characters, and he's animated like his character is like, and he's like, hey, I'm this guy, I sing a song in the movie, and so we've got George Clooney playing Mr. Fox and Meryl Streep.
That'd be cool. Oh yeah, because I guess he does do that in all, like, because in Royal Tenenbaums they kind of went through everybody. In Life Aquatic, didn't they? No, that was more of like, let me show you my boat, I guess, kind of. There was that wasn't at the was that at the very beginning though?
That wasn't at the very beginning. It took a little bit to get there, but it wasn't super far into it. But
I don't know. That would have been really cool to see though. I don't know that, because I feel like that's a very Wes Anderson. I don't know. Do other people do that sort of thing? Like just introduce the characters like that at the beginning of because like there are some movies that the credits are at the beginning. Like that's
right.
not an uncommon thing.
Time, but
I don't know. I feel like actually making it part of the movie in like a fun, interactive way, like just showing who everyone is, giving a little bit about them, is like, I don't know. I don't really see that a whole lot.
No, it's I think it's a fun little process, and it would have been worthwhile to get that out of like the Darjeeling Limited or something like that. I think that would have been cool. But there's an ambiguity to like some of the characters they introduce in the Darjeeling Limited, as we discussed on the last episode. So like you can't just be like Bill Murray as the dad,
yeah, that's true.
But no, man, I fucking love this movie. Like I said, it is my most watched movie this year. I will say I don't think it's quite my favorite Wes Anderson movie. I think I would have it at 4th.
Really?
And we've only discussed...
of all. Okay.
Of all, yes.
Wait, of all the ones that we've covered?
No.
Okay.
Of the ones we've covered, 2nd. Behind the Darjeeling Limited. The Darjeeling Limited, I absolutely adore. And I can't confidently... There's also this fact that, like, if a movie does make me sob, I typically put it over the one that makes me laugh.
Fair. Yeah.
Just because to evoke an emotional reaction that way is so difficult.
Yeah. If I want to watch a really good, like, movie and have a good cry, I'll go to Darjeeling first.
Darjeeling Limited,
if I want to comfort, just a nice, easy hour and a half.
And that's why Fantastic Mr. Fox is there, man. It is such an easy watch. And that's why I have watched more than anything else this year. Like that's what makes it so enjoyable. Shit, after I finished it today, I watched half of it again as soon as I finished it. I just turned it on again.
I don't know. I feel like I can't speak on my second watch, but I know I'm going to be like trying to notice, all these little things that I didn't pick up on at first. And just now knowing where the story goes, instead of having to figure it out, the first time. But I don't know. I feel like I was kind of more lost, and not lost in a bad way, but lost in not knowing where the story was going to go in the previous 3. This one was pretty cut and dry. This one was just like very simple story, but that like is the strength to it. It's a very simple story, very simple line deliveries, but still hits, just as hard. Still makes you think of all these crazy real world applications of like, oh wow, are our farmers in real life actually, like this, and how do I treat animals, and then also just like the actual character development that they see, and it's like, oh, like yeah, I shouldn't be, pissed off that I'm different. I shouldn't, think of it as a bad thing or try to just show off for other people just so that I feel better at the end of the day. It's like, why am I doing it for other people? Sort of thing. But then what really matters is the people that you care about. Like the 5, the 5.5.
Yeah.
You guys are the 5 and I don't know what like. Does he call them wild animals at the end there? I don't know, but like 5.5
best
most
wild
important.
animals I've ever known.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just a very feel good,
very resonant, man.
Yeah.
And it's the first of 2 movies written by Noah Baumbach, as far as I know, that end with a dance number in a supermarket. Funny enough.
Wow. What's the other one?
White Noise, Netflix original starring Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig. Ends with a dance number in a supermarket. And as soon as I watched that, after I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox, just a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "What the fuck?
That's interesting.
How do you do like what was the thought process? Did he like? I like it's not that it doesn't thematically fit in White Noise. It makes sense, but it's like, I wonder if he had to have pulled from what he did with Fantastic Mr. Fox and went ahead and it's a much more ambiguous, open, weird movie than Fantastic Mr. Fox is. And that ending is like, oh, okay, sure. That movie, all in all, is kind of an oh, okay, sure kind of movie. But
this one was nice, like the suspense building up, and he's like taking him. He's like, oh, I wonder what's up here. I wonder if we open up this manhole cover, like what's gonna be out there. I guess we could all die. It could be really bad. I don't really know, but
do it, Foxy. You're
he's
a
like,
terrible
all right,
actor.
we know what's coming. Yeah, I don't know. Was that like kind of a like a
fourth wall break,
like a meta, kind of being like, well, you're in this movie, George, but you're not honestly doing a whole lot. You're just like, just doing whatever.
Actor, George. George Clooney's a pretty solid actor. I enjoy him a lot. But and that's the thing too, is that like while he didn't have to reach a lot, and he doesn't do a character voice necessarily. He sounds like George Clooney sounds. He's not changing his voice at all. He does do a really good job at capturing this character, I think. Whenever I hear him talk as Fantastic Mr. Fox, I've gotten to a point now where I don't hear George Clooney, I hear Mr. Fox, Like when he does smile, when he does pull his teeth back and he's like, wow, that's great news. We're going to have a cub. That's some pretty good shit. I enjoy that, And he wasn't my first choice for performance by any means. He wasn't even second. Maybe not even third.
Yeah, I'd probably go with Willem Dafoe, who actually got it, and then probably Jason Schwartzman after that, and then Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Then maybe George.
Yeah.
He's probably fourth.
Probably fourth. Probably right there.
No, he'll get my character nod for this one, because I don't know, I really do appreciate whenever he does take back and he's like, oh man, I do kind of do all of these things wrong, and now I'm realizing it. Now I'm gonna talk to my wife, and I'm gonna
try to be the quote unquote Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah. And even the second toast that he gave, I gave a toast before and I didn't really like it. I want to read.
It's actually kind of a good thing that happened. I wasn't liking the toast I was giving, so let me go again.
Yeah, that whole feast that we had set up, and the whole beautiful everything we had. They got a piano down there somehow. I don't know, these animals. They're I don't know, living it up, kinda.
They make do,
even though it was in a sewer.
I love the idea that the Badger's just got a flint mine. He's like, yeah, I have a domain down here. My wife's down there with 27 brats.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's more of animals will always find a way. Animals will always survive. The Earth will always be here. It's only we have the chance of maybe not. We are dumb enough to actually kill every human on Earth. You can't really say the same for any animal. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's what's funny is we're dumb enough to do that. We're also smart enough to have the capability of doing something
that capability that we actually do. Which, you can't. That's not the same for any other animal. Even the smartest animal on Earth, probably a dolphin. What do they have? Who knows? Maybe we haven't explored the ocean. Maybe they got nuclear silos down there waiting. But yeah, no. The
dolphins are waiting for their day to strike.
Yeah, and they're just waiting for all of us to leave and get rid of ourselves first. But no, this is. I love the survival aspect and the embracing the differences between everyone and that stronger together sort of thing. And you were right about the revolutionary kind of aspect to the movie where because at first everyone was pissed that they had to even be there in the first place, but then they were all very into it, and they're whenever he was starting to break down what everyone was going to do and the plan of everything, everyone was on it. They were throwing out those acorns and 3 misses, 21 hits, or whatever, and marking them down
27 pine cones fired, 24 targets hit.
Yeah, Miss Fox is absolutely going to town on that mural, and how that just came back. She was a landscape artist, the best in the land, and then now she's actually it's it's a bird's eye view. If they actually had a drone up there, so it's even the farmers went about it very rudimentary. They were just all right, well, let's just try to shoot him when he comes out of the tree.
Yeah, okay, that didn't work. Their opponent,
They're yep, that didn't work. Okay, now let's just dig as much as we can. Well, all right, that didn't work. Now let's just blow it up. And then, but the animals come back with a plan, and they just absolutely go to they tear the humans apart, light everything on fire. The first acorn, they're like, ha, you guys suck. What was that? And it's just you just see all of them start flying.
Got the rabbit jumping out of there. He's dodging everything. The mouse behind him. Badger's there. Everyone's coming out of the manhole cover.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's it very fun. Humans should have just wipe them out. Like, if I don't know, it was the easiest. They were coming out of one place and one place only. Man, you guys were pretty bad.
Yeah,
just got outsmarted by a bunch of animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I love that not war, but like just revolution. Like just that like.
No, it was the animals' revolution. They rose up. They fought the fight.
Now they got a whole supermarket that they're gonna go to every weekend.
𝗪𝗲𝘀 𝗵𝗼𝘀𝗻𝑔𝑘𝑠. Whenever he's like, yeah, I want to fight. He's the tiny little guy, and he goes out there. He's chucking bombs. He's doing what he can for the cause.
Every role matters. Every person matters. Every little thing.
But yeah, the supermarket at the end being owned by 𝗪𝗪𝘀 𝗵𝗼𝘀. Lovely. This conflict will not be over anytime soon, if I had to guess so myself.
In my headcanon is they don't let them know. They don't really take a whole lot from the supermarket.
They take just enough.
And only on the weekends when they close early, So they just stock up every weekend. They go back down. They're like, whether they're living in the sewer, I guess, were they still living in the sewer, or was it Yeah, so I mean, I feel like that real estate's going to go crazy now. Everything's just going to flourish.
Kristofferson's dad's out of the hospital. He's already talking to Weasel about finding a place in our sewer system. Well, yeah, now is the time to buy.
Yeah, 2009. Also, the movie came out. Right. So funny. Wow, I didn't even realize that. But it's like actually a literal. I wish I was. I'm seeing these memes everywhere. Like when I'm 9 years old, but I
wish I would have bought a house
instead
of being 9.
Damn it. Well, we can't go back.
We're about to.
That's all right. That's true. Maybe we don't make the same mistake twice. We're about that age where we're gonna need a house, and maybe they come real cheap here in a couple years.
Yeah, right.
Sooner than that, but yeah.
We have to go back. Where we're going, we don't need homes. Man, we do. Nah, man, I thoroughly enjoy this movie. It's an odd one for me, where I think previously, if you look at all our ratings, I'd be willing to bet the enjoyment has been higher than the critical rating. And I think this one for me, on a personal note, would be flipped. I think I would have this higher critically than I would enjoyment wise. Yeah. And that's rare. That doesn't happen a lot with anything,
Yeah. And you're right here. Like usually the enjoyment's higher by a pretty significant margin too than the critical. Like the closest one is the Royal Tenenbaums. We had an 8.5 enjoyment and an 8 critically. But then Life Aquatic, we had a 9.5 enjoyment and then 8.25 for critical. So a little dip there. And then last movie, 𝗪𝗪𝘀, we had 9.75 for enjoyment and 9 for critical. So I don't know. I feel like the critical one might be the easier one to tackle here first, like rating wise. I do agree is that like it's funny and I do enjoy this movie. Like I'm not having a bad time, but I am more taken back by how it was made and
how impressive this is as a feat.
Yeah. And the story as well. Like it actually was an impactful story.
Yeah, we've talked about the beauty and simplicity, before, like how just because something is easier to do doesn't make it necessarily worse. The story is extremely simple, but because it's simple, you can make that shit better. You can make it so good if you're just telling a straightforward story, and that's what this one's doing. I think that the story works really well. I don't have any qualms with any of the voice performances. I thought they all did really, really good. Even Owen Wilson's little part where he explains the rules to Whack-Bat. Whenever Kristofferson walks over to, or not Kristofferson, whenever Ash walks over to Agnes and he's like, "What's that stand for?" And she's like, "It's for Pep." He's like, "For Pep, it's a K." In the background, Owen Wilson's polar bear runs over. He's like, "Yep, here we go. Oh yeah, oh boy, oh wow, let's go." And he's just running by in the background. I love shit like that. It's so simple. It's so funny. Oh, I did want to drop a little fun fact too. The plane that they do use to fly by in the background is promoting 𝗪𝗪𝘀 𝗵𝗼𝘀 supermarket's opening.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see
that.
Which
we do see at the end as it having opened.
Yeah.
which is hilarious. But
yeah, I really got to dive into how this movie was made, because I like that really interests me. Like just VFX and like actual CG, like that sort of stuff interests me. But this is like just more impressive, in my opinion. Like actually, like this is like hands, like they're literally moving these things and taking a picture. You know, like I don't know, like that's just, I don't even want to think. Like I feel like I'd rather learn how to do VFX. Like I don't even know how to do it myself. I just like, the technicality side, but I'd rather go down that route than try to like actually do this.
Right.
Just the work that it took is nuts. Yeah, 50 something thousand. That makes sense. Tens of thousands of shots. That's incredible.
Well, it's like there's a movie released last year that just same, stop motion esque design, the Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. That shit, like a different breed as far as stop motion is concerned. Like the fact that this is 56,000 shots, I'm pretty sure this is like, it's like a different fucking level. But like it's just like, for there to be levels to it like that is astonishing, because this movie is fucking gorgeous.
161,000 for Pinocchio.
There's also the fact that movie, Pinocchio, is 2 hours. It's an additional 30 minutes. So that helps.
Oh my God.
That one is just like, because there's something that they did with the style specifically of this one where they wanted to emphasize that it was stop motion.
Yeah.
You can hardly tell that Pinocchio is stop motion. Like, it's so smooth
that you're just like 24 frames a second, which is what every movie is normally at.
Yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox is 12 frames per second. So it emphasizes that kind of like 60s, 70s holiday specials, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and shit, like that's kind of the vibe it's presenting to you. And it is much more choppy and doesn't have that same effect that Pinocchio does. But regardless, they're both extremely resonant movies. I just wanted to speak to the stop motion marvel that is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, because it's fucking brilliant. But man, critically, this is going to be a tough one to nail down for me, just because I do think it's as well made as the Darjeeling Limited, if not better, simply for the marvel of how difficult a movie like this is to create, And I'd be willing to elevate it at least a quarter of a point. 9.25.
It's kind of my gut.
Maybe 9.5.
Before I even looked at the scores and looked at what they all were, my gut was just 9 out of 10. I don't know why, but then I'm like, it is a little better made than Darjeeling, and a 9.5. I don't know, maybe it's not that much better made, but I mean it's still. I think I'm right there. I'm right at 9.25. I think because
I'd argue that Darjeeling Limited is better written. But and visually it's gorgeous. The performances are brilliant. So that's the other thing, is that there's a balance there, where I think this movie is more beautiful to look at. It is more satisfying in that regard, but it's not the only place I would say that it's not better than the Darjeeling Limited is writing. So a 9.25 I feel good about.
I like that as well. I'm in agreement. Now, this one is interesting. I haven't really quite thought about enjoyment-wise, but I do agree with what you said a little earlier about I'd rather kind of watch a movie that makes me cry, like a real good cry than just a comedic feel-good movie.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's a balance there as far as the enjoyment rating is concerned. I typically rate a movie that makes me sob higher than a movie that makes me giggle, and this movie makes me laugh. It does make me tear up, but it doesn't have I wonder if it remembers me moment. It doesn't have the weight of the moments that other movies have so far in this little director's spotlight.
far easier to laugh than it is to, you have to really do something to make.
Well,
it's
especially the way these movies have been making me cry.
Yeah.
It sneaks up on you. You don't even realize it's going to resonate with you that way.
Mhm.
And then something happens and you fucking break. And you're like, oh, wait a fucking minute, dog. This is...
I care this much about this movie. It's like you're
what's-
crying and it's like a confused cry. And you're like, why am I crying? But it
Why
feels
do
right.
I feel like this?
I think I'm supposed to be crying. But, I don't think it should diminish it that much, Like, it's just a different kind of emotion that they're trying to invoke. And there are some, actual moments where I do tear up a little bit. So there is that. But I think the short runtime will bode well, like for the, just how easy it is to watch.
Oh, so easy to watch.
It is just a very, a comfort movie instead of a, not an uncomfortable movie, but like purposefully getting you outside of your comfort zone, to make you emotional. So just different kinds of movies, but I think I'm still pretty high on it.
Oh yeah, I would go 8.75 or 9.
Okay.
That's where my gut takes me.
I like that because Royal Tenenbaums at 8.5, and I'm like, I think I can't put that on the same level. I don't think. I think I enjoy this a little bit more.
That's where that line is. Royal Tenenbaums does make me. It has the same tear up effect that this one did. But not in the, oh, this is really nice to watch way. More in the, oh my God, this is devastatingly sad way. But it doesn't make me sob the way other movies have.
Let's see. So I think I'm in like the 8.75-9 range, is where I'm at.
Okay.
Let's see. If it is an 8.75, rounds it out to about a 91%. If it is a 9, puts it up to a 92. So... Not much difference. I think it deserves it. I think it deserves it. 9.17 technically, but a 92% there. Let's see. IMDb gives it a 7.9 rating wise.
Notice we are very kind compared to the typical.
I feel there's probably a lot of people who just it is fair to say that some people might just not like Wes Anderson's style. I just happen to really enjoy it, and I really do like it. But I feel like it is kind of like a love or hate. You're not going to really be in the middle.
You're not going to be
with
indifferent
movies.
towards it.
Yeah, 'cause on Rotten Tomatoes, critically it was 93, but audience gave it an 85, which I think speaks to that a little more. I think we were right in thinking that it is critically better than like enjoyment wise. Okay.
No, hell yeah. So with a 92%, that's where we rate Fantastic Mr. Fox. It ends up being second, right behind Darjeeling Limited at a 93. Barely behind it. But we do have a slight shift in plans for the future of our Wes Anderson director spotlight, as Asteroid City, releasing on June 16th, has a lot in common as far as release date with The Flash and Elementals, a DC and Pixar movie. So the wide release is not as likely as we would like. It will not be playing in our local theater at all, and we will have to go 30 to 45 minutes away to see it the week after. So all that means is we get to round out all of Wes Anderson's filmography. We're going to go ahead and cover Bottle Rocket and Rushmore, after we finish The French Dispatch. We're going to go ahead and round that out. Unless something changes and they end up showing it, I don't think they will. I think we are going to have to go and wait until June 23rd at least to see it. So everything's just pushed back a week. Not much of a change, but just wanted y'all to be aware of that. So we got Moonrise Kingdom and Grand Budapest Hotel next week. We've got the Isle of Dogs and The French Dispatch the week after that, and then Bottle Rocket and Rushmore the week after that. So lots to look forward to in the Wes Anderson Director Spotlight, and I cannot wait to do it. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including all sorts of written reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. I just reviewed The Little Mermaid earlier this week, and I feel very good about it. Quick little 2,000-word review that took me about an hour to write. Very, very fun. I feel it's a good read, and it's available for you to read for free if you want to go ahead and check that out. Just head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. It'll give you a little taste for my writing style, the way that I like to write things, and if you want to read more of it, I got plenty over there. And our Patreon content at large, like I said, very enjoyable. 50 hours of it. I think we're at like 130 something exclusive posts. Like there's a ton of shit over there on Patreon if you want to check it out. So for $3 a month, you can support this podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, and follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you are listening, and remember to download. That helps me a lot. Thank you, Joseph George, for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And let's raise our boxes to our survival.